imesema katika fungu la kwanza ya kwamba mamlaka katika Jamhuri ya Kenya iko mkononi ya wananchi wa Kenya.
Katiba inampatia mwananchi wa Kenya mamlaka kuchukua mamlaka mikononi mwake na kufanya vile mimi nimefanya hapa leo.
Ni mwito wako wewe mzalendo Mkenya. Ni mwito wangu, mwito wako. Tuamke, tukomboe Kenya kiuchumi. Tujikomboe sisi wenyewe.
Okay, all right. that is the leadership of Azimio, and they also spoke about the 10 million signatures. Let's listen to what Deputy President has been saying about those signatures and if they are of any consequence.
Even if they collect 10 million signatures, where will they take those signatures to who? Matters elections are not decided by signatures. They are decided on the ballot. A specific date was set for that purpose, 9th of August 2022, and people signed, and that was the head of signatures until after 5 years.
Sasa mtu anasema nitaenda kucollect sahihi milioni 10, alafu nitapeleka kwa parallel IEBC. Parallel. Sheria ya Kenya inatambua one IEBC.
Okay, all right, Honorable Boss, you had something to say just before the 10 million signatures, but you can combine that and tell me what your thoughts are about the 10 million signatures to delegitimize the government as constituted.
First of all, I am shocked because most of these Azimio leaders took the oath of office. And you stood to say that you're going to abide by the Constitution. The Constitution has very clear mechanisms for doing this. So 10 million signatures, where is it in the Constitution that you require 10 million signatures to do whatever you want to do? It's not available. We also need to ask them, how does the protests enable us to be able to change the standard of living? It doesn't. You can only improve the standard of living by making sure that you do certain interventions through legislation in Parliament, and they have members of Parliament. And as I said, although I don't like to do it, but I can say, I can credit Honorable Mbui. Honorable Mbui was in Parliament. He gave us alternative amendments to the finance bill. And actually, when he gave those amendments, some of these amendments were improved. We did take some of the amendments because he sat there and said, instead of putting this clause, can we have this clause? That clause was eventually adopted. It was done through public participation and it was changed. But somebody like Okanga here just talks every time in the media. He should be spending his time lobbying your members of Parliament. Because I never had any of your members of Parliament speaking in public. The other thing, when you talk about saying you're complaining that Osoro gave soup to your members of Parliament, you should be castigating your members of Parliament.
For accepting the soup.
For accepting the soup. Because, look, even myself, I am, as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, I am the leader of delegation for the African Caribbean Parliamentary Union. We have a joint parliamentary sitting with the European Union. Mm-hmm. Something that is in statute, and it is a part of a bilateral treaty that Kenya signed. And I am supposed to go there. I was supposed to go there during the time of the finance bill. But I did not go. For the first time in the history of Parliament, the Deputy Speaker did not attend that parliamentary union. Why? Because I took the finance bill seriously, and I stayed behind. And that delegation is made up of Kenya Kwanza MPs and Azimio MPs. I did not go.
How about Kenya Kwanza members?
Kenya Kwanza members did not go either.
Azimio?
We stayed behind. And Azimio, some went, but I know the ones who did not go. Somebody like Honorable Kaluma did not go. They waited behind. So it is a choice. You've been elected by the people of Kenya. If you respect your people enough, you can decide not to go. So you cannot depend on Osoro to tell you whether to go or not. You are the one to decide. but Osoro can throw some goodies and tell you to go. But you decide. I decided not to go.
What does that mean, Deputy Speaker? What goodies?
No, you are the ones who said they gave soup.
You know, the more laughter I get from this panel, I'm getting convinced that I'm not getting the truth.
Even I did not know what the soup meant, but I'm just saying that if Honorable Osoro is our chief whip, it is him who says how many numbers we have in Parliament, etc. Myself, I'm not involved in that because I'm just the Deputy Speaker. I sit there, the numbers are told to me by the whip from the opposition, and I'm told by the whip from the Kenya Kwanza team. So if people decided that they are leaving, the people you should be castigating are those people who left. You cannot be castigating Osoro for it.
Okay.
That's not his business.
I think that's what will have to be defined further. But Honorable Boy, 10 million signatures.
To do what? And under what law?
Can I just ask the question, Honorable Speaker? Yeah, Honorable Mbowe, so to what end and how are you collecting them in the first place?
First and foremost, Sam, the reason why we went to, we devolved our activities as Azimio was so that the people in every corner of the country can get to know what we are planning. And the real intention is, first and foremost, just to ensure that Kenyans understand the Constitution. And any lawyer will tell you, and I'm happy I'm seated here with lawyers only, that the first article, the very, very first article, says that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, and they can exercise it in two ways, either one, directly, or through elected representatives. Now, it doesn't go further to explain how they can exercise it directly. And I want to disabuse the notion that that we want to impeach. No. The impeachment process is defined in the Constitution. We have no interest in impeaching, the Kenya Kwanza. We want to delegitimize them. We want everyone in the world to know that these people are taking the country in the wrong trajectory, and we want them to know that the people are unhappy. Let me tell you some. If this exercise was an exercise in futility, as their leaders have said, and let me tell you, you've heard the Deputy President himself, he called a very big meeting to talk about those 10 million signatures. You've heard the Prime Cabinet Secretary, he goes to a very major rally to go talk about the signatures. The Speaker of the National Assembly was also in another rally, I think in some place is it Mumias or where? He also went to talk about the same signatures. If it was an exercise in futility, why is the Kenya Kwanza leadership, running helter-skelter talking about it? If, I believe this. If I hear someone talk about something that is inconsequential, I would ignore them. They cannot ignore it because they know the power is with the people. And we are going to find a way. By the time we are done, the people will decide what to do with their signatures. But it is not going to be in vain. The people will sign, and after we are done, the people will decide. This is not about us. I am an elected representative. I am now at the mercy of the people because the people will take up back their power. They delegated it to me, they elected me. I went to Parliament, we failed them. So if we have failed them and the executive has failed them, does it mean that they sit back, roll back and die? No. Kenyans have a right to figure out the next course of action.
This is a decision of the people, not you.
This is a decision of the people. We are supporting the people in that initiative.
When did they decide?
They decided when this bill was passed by people being coerced, people being given soup, and then it's punitive. And then they noticed that even when the courts try to, to get involved and to say that let this thing be stayed, some of those clauses, like the fuel levy, was implemented immediately by the same regime.
So help me understand this.
Who then stands for the people? Who defends the rights of the people?
You sit in Parliament.
Yes.
Fred and I don't. You're saying delegitimize. Please define that.
Yeah, the regime is in our opinion, this regime has messed up the setup of the constitution. They've violated the constitution already. They have broken the law, and it's unfortunate that if they continue, when you beat up innocent protesters, when you shoot people to kill because they are standing near a place where demonstrators are passing, that is breaking the law, and those are instructions coming from
Honorable Boy, I hear you, and there are many issues to really think about and talk about. But what does delegitimize mean, and how do you want to?
We feel that this regime is illegitimate. We do not recognize them, and the people have realized that the Kenyan people, the people you saw out there demonstrating in Kadhiani, in Machakos, in Kisii. Those people in Kisii particularly, who are so hard hit. So we want to say that we feel that this is not a legitimate government, and that everything they are doing is not even helpful to us as a
I hear you. You still haven't answered my question, but let me try with Fred here. Because I'm looking at delegitimize. The basic definition is withdraw legitimate status or authority from an institution, an organ, whatever you may call it. So how do you expect to do that?
I rarely do this, but today I think I should do it. I rarely refer people back to reading political history. I want to refer my friends here to a book authored by Flavio Cumarano, an Italian, when he talks about delegitimization. And he talks about this as a useful category of political history. When you have a regime like Kenya Kwanza that is extraneous to the shared constitutional perimeter, and they are breaking it shamelessly, then the constitution of the country called Republic of Kenya gives the people the power in Article 1 and tells them that when the people who represent you fail to protect you, then you can exercise that sovereign power directly. Now, delegitimization is withdrawal of that authority that you have given. In our view, and in the views of majority of the people, they have said that because they don't feel that they belong anymore, because they don't feel that they're represented in a way that they should, because they're in a country where others have decided it is no longer a republic, but a company of shareholders, and they're no longer shareholders. They are saying whatever these people are doing is not in the interest of the public, and therefore, the power they gave them, they are calling it back. That is what Fulvio Camarano called delegitimization. Number two, we know for sure that these signatures, there is no constitutional threshold of 10 million to say that now we have reached 10 million, now we delegitimize. But the moment, in fact, they're not only 10, we are going for 15 million. And that's what we are looking forward to towards the end of this month. We are saying that by the fact that the people of Kenya can decide to take a pen and put it on paper or go digitally and consent that they are no longer interested in pursuing or in respecting or, getting the interests of the policies of Kenya Kwanza, as they say, and now they want to recall their power back, they have already made a statement. Now, this is something that has not been done before, Sam, and you know that. They have been saying that, we want to impeach. No, we are not interested in impeaching. We are not interested in recalling the president. No. Because that route is a parliamentary route. It goes through the charge sheet is drawn by a National Assembly member and prosecution is done by the Senate. We know that. It goes through all that process. But those are representatives who have failed. The people have said, what can we do by ourselves without these delegated powers?
I hear you. And obviously, the value of whatever action is about what it brings, the consequence of it. Yes. Even if you have, because now you've revised it to 15 million signatures.
Absolutely.
Even if you get them, so what exactly will you do with them?
Now, Sam, that question, I want to answer it in a very simple manner. When Honorable Rigathi says that the election ended, the signatures ended, and now people are going, what he is forgetting, the very people that some of them put him into that position have said that they have failed in implementing their promises. They have said that they have used their position to implement oppressive policies that they don't like. Today they are suffering. Those people, how do they come out and say, I don't agree with what you are doing? I don't agree with what you are saying. The only way of doing that is to come out in large numbers. Registered number of voters in this country, as per the last election, over slightly 22 million. If today, 15 million of the registered voters, irrespective of which region they come from, irrespective of which coalition they're affiliated to, say that I'm putting this on paper and I'm saying I am not agreeing with what this regime is doing. And therefore, if I elected you, whether I'm a member of parliament, whether you're a president, whether you're a deputy president, whether you're what, I am withdrawing that delegated authority and bring it back to me. That means they don't agree with you. And you should be very worried.
But Honorable, sorry, Fred, maybe one day you should be.
Inshallah.
Fred, even as you say that, the truth of the matter is the power is exercised through the executive. And you know who leads the executive?
Exactly.
Parliament represents people and legislates.
Exactly.
Judiciary interprets the constitution and, of course, deals with the disputes.
Yes.
So with or without 50 million signatures, those institutions continue because they're guided by the Constitution.
I agree, Sam.
No, the specific question here then is, what are you telling the supporters of Kenya Kwanza, of Azimio, and are you being honest?
We are telling the supporters of Azimio and Kenyans in general that when you are helpless, and the way they are helpless now, you can decide to withdraw your sovereign power and take it to yourself and decide what to do with it. We are not doing anything wrong. By the way, all these are within the law. And Sam, you have asked a very important question. I want to answer
Talking too much.
These people, you see, that's why I'm here, boss, to talk too much and answer this question.
But your time is like...
You know, you came late, so it's okay. But I'll be done shortly, boss. So Sam, these 15 million signatures are a manifestation that those 15 million registered voters do not agree with what Boss Sholei and team are doing. They do not agree with what Osoro and team are doing. And in accessing that power, they can actually decide that because we've been oppressed in so many ways, the people of Kenya, Osoro, that chased you from Gusii Stadium, these are the people who never chased me anywhere. They chased you. So, you know, Sam, we must be honest with ourselves. We are saying that in this signature collection, in fact, I pray that Osoro don't introduce soup. Allow those members of parliament that want to collect signatures to collect, because it is their interest to do what their people want them to do.
Honorable Osoro, so I mean, what do you make of this? And because I know you have an agenda, that is the Kenya Kwanza, the plan, and you're saying that as the whip of the majority, you're still doing your job. But what is the space of listening to these concerns? Because even if you may not agree with the process of collecting signatures, there are certain voices in there that are saying things are not going right.
Number one, Azimio and their supporters, like my friend here, live in an imaginary world. And they create some perception and want to drive with it. And that is why they lost elections, because of such imaginary things. He's already saying that Osoro was chased from Gusii Stadium. He has no evidence. He just saw some clip that somebody has decided to crop to fit their interest, imagining that Osoro has been chased from some stadium. It is fake, and I'll confirm to you it is extremely fake. I have never been chased.
And he has never been to Gusii.
In fact, the reason...
Gusii is my neighbor. I come from that region.
But you don't come from my house. You don't come from my house. So you only imagine. And you keep on referring to my constituency. My constituency is South Mogrango. And by the way, Gusii Stadium is not in South Mogrango. So that imagination every time is wrong. And it's actually what makes Azimio lose. You have an online support which does not translate to the ground. You only imagine. It's just online. That is how you won online.
How did you leave the
But let me say this. No. The reason game was not, I was not even at the stadium myself. So they got some image of a long, let me tell you.
In that clip that you're walking out.
Yes. It's a game that happened about 2 months ago, way before the finance bill. And you know, Azimio is very good in spinning lies. Way before the finance bill was brought in the House, And as normal, because I am a member of parliament and a leader in the house. Of course, when the game was over, as we were walking, of course, the police followed me. I mean, it's normal for people to follow me. Then now these guys pick some clip and some 3 men somewhere in some corner shouting, some unprintable words, and then started, sharing it. It's just pettiness.
Okay.
And, it's
so
normal.
The police was
and that is local politics, which I don't mind, and I'll fight it locally. It's normal pettiness.
So let's get back to the question of
let's get back to this
the
question.
signatures.
Number one, as I said when we started, somebody that has lost 5 times in a free contested election, who always imagines that he's got support, imagines that he can remove a legitimate government from office. By the way, why do we forget very fast? Were we not told recently that they are marching to State House to eject William Ruto from State House? Did they even get beyond, Uhuru Park? They didn't. They couldn't even get to town. In fact, this time the police were so lenient to even allow them have a rally in Kamkunji, and they realized, sometimes they provoke such war. They simply excite themselves through such wars. When they realized that the rally was allowed in Kamkunji, they were given a letter. I was told, okay, now proceed with your rally, speak whatever you... They say, nah, this won't be juicy. Let's walk out. Let's walk towards City Park. What message could they have given at City Park that they couldn't give from Kamkunji? That already is provocation, just to disturb police, to provoke police. I mean, then they claim that they wanted people to be guarded, like they say it's within the law. The people who are arrested, who are possibly stealing, were placed at Central Police Station and others in some other areas. But you saw them again going there saying, these are peaceful people, release them. So really, they're having their cake and they're eating it like by themselves. It really can't work. On the 10 million signatures, it is imaginary. Trust me. You are here. You already know, as we are speaking right now, there's a bipartisan team that was created by both teams that is supposed to discuss on the formation of the IEBC panel, IEBC selection panel. They've recused themselves. They are not participating into that. We do not have the rookie side numbers as at now to sit and come up with such proposals. We had passed earlier the IEBC selection panel in Parliament. We passed we repealed the act in Parliament. And that already, we've been so lenient to allow them to make proposals, even after passing the act. They do not want to participate. When they tell you about 10 million signatures, where do they take them to? To whom? Because the signatures must be verified by the IEBC chairman and his commission. We currently do not have a chairman.
But why would you want them verified?
That is the law. It is the law. Once you collect the signature, just a minute. Yeah. Once you collect the signature, you submit to the IEBC.
We are not in a referendum of impeachment.
You submit to the IEBC. Then where do you want to take them? If you do not want to follow through that law, then you are lying to the masses. You just want to collect them and put them in the house and imagine that William Ruto will be out.
The reason I'm asking you that is because the process of verification that requires IEBC to do that is when you're pushing for a referendum.
I am using their words.
To amend the Constitution.
When you listen to their very own words, they said that they'll have a parallel IEBC, they'll have a parallel system of operation. Now they are saying if.
If you do something, what do
everything about them is imagination. Let me tell you, these people, and by the way, it's very sad sometimes when you guys speak, you keep saying the people of Kenya, as though you are the only people who represent the people of Kenya. I am a member of parliament, I represent the people too. I mean, when they speak to you, they also speak to me. I have people who feel that we are jumping the gun. The government of Kenya needs to be given time. It is just recently that we passed the budget. The very first budget by this regime. By the way, honestly, any genuine Kenyan should be saying, now that we passed the budget recently, just about 2 weeks ago, why can't we allow this regime and see what they'll do with their own budget in 3 months, and then we act? But immediately after elections, they went to court. After they lost in court, they went to the streets. After they've lost in the streets, they keep on, imagining and what I will call fishing expedition of where do we pull these guys down? And by the way, if we happen to give these guys an opportunity to lead, it will be more messy because they are extremely disorganized. Look at even their rallies. More disorganized than anything. Just chaos, left, right, and center.
Okay, I hear you, Honorable Osoro. Fred, is it your intention to have a parallel IEBC?
We have said before that for us, we respect the Constitution of Kenya. But when we went for the bipartisan talks, there were what we call interim measures that were put in place. One of them was the cessation of the recruitment of the IBC panel. The chair from our side, Honorable Tindamolo, did consult the other side, and they wrote a letter for the stoppage of that exercise. They failed to sign it. They failed. So that process collapsed. Now, they told us they will proceed. When they saw our first rally in Kamkunji that announced the program of Sabasaba, they quickly convened and did a press conference and inviting Azimio back to the talks. And we told them, we are not interested anymore because you are a dishonest lot. Now, they say they are going to proceed and form a Kenya Kwanza-led commission. In our view, that is not true. That is not right.
Is that what they said?
In our interpretation, because they said they will proceed minus us. That is our interpretation.
Look,
so for us, we are saying, if they proceed do that...
I want to hear from Deputy Speaker, but first, look, there was a selection panel already existent before the President announced that that process was going to be relooked at. So if the bipartisan talks do not work, what do you think should happen to IBC?
How did they arrive at that selection panel? That's the question.
There's a law that was passed by Parliament.
Parliament. How did they amend that section of the IBC Act that was contested by majority of...
That is what I'm asking. You know,
so for us, what I'm saying, Sam...
Just wait. We can argue about the process.
Yes.
But there's an act of Parliament that has been amended by Parliament. And it has led to the formation of a panel. So now, if the bipartisan talks don't work, should the country continue without
you see,
an
Sam,
IBC?
You cannot say that should the country. We're also part of this country. And when the people in this country don't agree with what Parliament does in one way or another, they have a right to question.
Okay,
and we have questioned that. And that way we are saying they should not proceed and do things because they have got the instruments of power. Okay. They should listen. So let them listen.
They should listen, you say. Honorable Deputy Speaker, how are you intending to listen?
First of all, I think it's very dishonest of Okango to be here and lying to Kenya. Because that amendment that was made to the law was made pursuant to a court order. The court is the one that said Parliament cannot have so many slots in the panel. It should be given to other arms of government. So, can you stop telling Kenyans that it was amended by Kenya Kwanza? It was amended because the court ordered so. Which court case? Azimio went to court. So please, stop lying to us. Then the other thing that he's talking about also, he's saying that the decision to have the Kenya Kwanza, what is it called? The panel. The panel, the composition of the panel is designed by law. Not by Kenya Kwanza.
That's true.
Yes. So stop telling Kenyans that it was designed by Kenya Kwanza. It was designed by law. And it has been designed by Kenya Kwanza. It was designed by the law.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about the other issue. You said that you're getting 10 million signatures. Get the 10 million.
Add 15.
Okay, 15 million signatures.
Good.
The last time we know is that you tried to get 1 million signatures, which eventually were not signatures. Some of them had pictures of horses, pictures of cows. They were not even signatures. You attempted that 1 million. Now you're trying 15 million. You did not succeed in 1 million signatures. Go ahead. But even when you get the 1 million, when you're trying to get the 1 million signatures, 10 million signatures, it has to be by law. Which law allows you to delegitimize a government based on 10 million signatures? There is no law supporting that decision. You have tried it before, it has failed. What we are saying is the legitimacy of a government is based on elections. And we went to the election. And not only did we go to elections and won, you went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court confirmed that William Ruto won as president. So where are you coming up with the issue? There is no legitimate basis for going to court on that issue. When you say you want to open the server, and I remember you were part of that process. When we went to the Supreme Court, Azimio applied for an order to say that they want the server opened during the Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court gave the order opening the server. And we all appeared at IEBC. I was an agent, and I was there present. Your team were agents. When we went there, the server was opened. We all viewed it. Then a report was made. Azimio had IT experts. Kenya Kwanza had IT experts. And the Supreme Court had IT experts. A report was written. We all signed against that report. And I want that report to be brought to the media. That report was then delivered to the Supreme Court. Based on that, the Supreme Court made its findings. So when you lie to Kenyans and tell them we want the server opened, the server was already opened. No, don't talk.
Opened.
But Boss Shule, you know very well the server was not open.
No.
You know very well there was a letter from Smartmatic that said that will contravene the intellectual property. You know very well, Boss.
No.
Let's be honest.
Okay. No, let me explain.
You lost.
Let me explain. What the court said is that we can't give you the passwords. That's what the court said. We can't give you the passwords, but what we can allow you is access. Because they can't give you the passwords, because we know that some people have been killed in the past relating to those passwords. So you don't get the passwords, but you got access. And I remember Azimio had a very fine team. They even had a team that had glasses, those Google glasses, the ones that record everything you're looking at through those glasses. They were there. We were at Anniversary Towers together. I remember that. So don't come and lie to Kenyans. So what Azimio is doing, and what my friend Fred here is prosecuting, they're just pathetic losers. They're bitter.
Bitter losers.
Bitter losers. And they have run out of options.
But
they cannot believe they lost the election. So what you do, a good loser will do this. Can you wait until 2027? In 2027, then lose again. That's all we are trying to tell you to do. And I remember very clearly, I appeared on this television station. Before elections. And they ran a clip of Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga said, he was in a joint thing with Martha Karua. And he said, asiyokubali kushindwa, sio mshindani. He said that. And then I remember my response was, says the man who has never accepted defeat 4 times. And now I have been vindicated, because right now, he has not even accepted that he has lost defeat. And the challenge is, all this thing that he's saying, he's going to Kamkunji, he's running around, he's saying that he's going to make the Kenya ungovernable and so on. It tells you that he has a problem losing.
Okay.
What he should be doing, let me give you free advice, Fred. You're a very clever man, you've been hired by KANU, by Gideon Moi. Yeah, and you're on his payroll. Let me give you free advice.
Wow, Honorable Boss, is that...
Yes, I know that. He's the spokesman of KANU. But let me... Let me just deal with it. Let me give you... Can I give him the free advice, which is worth millions? My free advice is, do this. What you should do, which is what the Republican Party did when they lost. They went back, they did an evaluation. They said, why did we lose? Then they looked at all their faults. And then they planned and came up with a strategy of how to win.
To rebrand their
party. What is the messaging you should deal with? So, can you do that? In fact, actually, KANU, instead of sending you to this TV station, they should actually give you the job of going to see how to rebrand
Deputy Speaker,
the party.
Let me move you away from that and ask you this question, because...
But I have a right of some reply.
You will,
please.
Because Kenyans have said a few things, and not everyone is happy with how things are running.
And they are very disorganized anyway.
No.
These guys didn't even have, Form 34 during Bowman.
Deputy Speaker, please listen to the question. I think we've had enough times that the elections
becoming unhonorable.
Don't say that here, Fred, please. Deputy Speaker.
He's allowed to call me any name. By the way, I can take it.
Deputy Speaker, please.
Come on, tell me what you want to call me.
Let's focus on the... Let's respect the viewers, really. And I'm asking you this because Kenyans have said a few things, and there are those that are dissatisfied with some of the proposals, the policies that have come from the Kenya Kwanza administration. And even as the grandstanding continues in the political circles, Honorable Boss, so then how are you listening to Kenyans? How are you processing what they are telling you?
No, one of the things I've never, every time I've appeared on these TV shows, I've always said, I agree. The cost of living is high. Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans have difficulties. Just this weekend, supported by even this TV show, I was able to go and have a medical camp. Kenyans are sick. They're not able to pay for medical care. We agree. But what we are saying is, maandamano is not the solution. The solution is to put in certain interventions, either through legislation in parliament or by making sure we change government policy. So when you go on the street, it's not going to help the cost of living. Cost of living cannot be improved by maandamano. Cost of living can only be improved by the finance bill. So I wanted our Azimio counterparts. And for me, I've always said, we are happy to hear any proposals or amendments that can improve the cost of living through the finance bill. And I've said, I'm giving credit to Honorable Bui here. Honorable Bui came up, in fact, I can name the members of parliament who brought real proposals. Honorable Bui said, this is not acceptable, but this is the alternative. Honorable Makali said, this is not acceptable, but this is our proposal. Honorable Mbadi was also. So there are some serious people in Azimio who actually brought proposals. And thanks to you, some of the changes were made, Honorable Bui. I want you to say that you actually made a difference. Why are you not taking that credit? But Okango here can talk on TV shows and never change anything. Okay. So I know that there are some real serious parliamentarians who made changes. Honorable Nyikal is another one. So I can name them by name because I sit as Deputy Speaker and I've seen them. I was very impressed with the way they brought proposals. They even wrote, you know, you write there, man, the way you can change the cost of living is on maandamano. The way you can change the cost of living is by actually sending an amendment to the Speaker. And they appeared before the Speaker. Honorable Bui had an amendment in writing. Honorable Makali had an amendment in writing.
Was it carried?
It was, yes. 3 of them were carried.
Is that so, Honorable Bui?
Yes.
Very minor. They accepted very minor things which they had already.
No, so you brought minor things, you know.
So, no, we had very major proposals. The major ones were not carried.
But you agree they were carried?
Some were carried.
I was very impressed with you. Now you are disappointing me.
Some.
Okay.
A very quick one.
Yes, Fred. You said you want a right of reply.
Yeah, and I'll do it respectfully.
Please.
You see, Deputy Speaker Honorable Boshole here has said so many things. And she should not attempt to criminalize maandamano, because maandamano is constitutional.
I've not said it's criminal.
No, you have...
I've just said it's stupid.
Okay, just hold on. Now listen.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, please, let's...
I said the Deputy Speaker is becoming... today she's a bit strange. I've been with her in so many panels, but I've never seen her this way. Maybe she woke up differently, but I apologize for that. The Deputy Speaker seated here is telling Kenyans, in her own admission, that, you know, whatever Osoro did, what they call soup and goodies, actually she added the word goodies, she has accepted that and she has she's not contesting it. But when it comes to election, she's now saying that we are losers.
But you lost.
You know, the elections were contested, Sam.
And you lost.
They went through that process. While we respected the outcome of the court, we never agreed with it.
But you lost.
So, in that instance, I am very much disturbed when a Deputy Speaker, Honorable Boshole, calls others losers while she knows that that election was contested. And she was at Bomas and she knows what was happening there. So, in my view, I wouldn't want to contest much of what she's saying, but I want to...
Okay.
She's now becoming advisor of Raila Odinga, of Azimio, a role that she doesn't fit, given what she's doing now. She's not fit to do that. There are people who do that. And she has said here that I will talk here and nothing will change. Let me tell you, some of the things that Okango and other Kenyans have been saying as a way of public participation, like this one now, are the things that they used to amend the Finance Act. The people told them that we didn't ask you for houses. Why not 1.5? Why 3? They went and put 1.5, you know? So she cannot say that what we are saying here is irrelevant. It is more relevant. And that is why this regime is silently listening to the people and changing and then coming out to take credit that, you know, we listen to the people. Who are you listening to, boss? You are listening to us. So don't say that you are the law and the law itself. The people of Kenya have authorized you to do this, and if you don't listen to them, you will be doomed to fail. And lastly, I also want to ask Honorable Boss to understand that politics is competition, and the competition doesn't end after election. It continues. The ideas continue. So when we contest some of your ideas, we are trying to tell you that we don't agree with what you are saying, and we would want to read differently. She asked, where is the alternative bill? There is no stipulation of time that shows that Azimio should give that bill at this time. We have a raft of ideas that we shall be giving the people of Kenya in the coming days, and we shall be telling them, in our view as Azimio, and having listened to you as the public, this is what we think, these are policies we should pursue. In any case, we had a manifesto as Azimio party. So, Honorable Boss, this is a competition. Don't feel bad when we compete even
that's
here.
fine, Fred.
Just feel good, and let's debate in a manner that the Kenyans will respect all of us.
Okay. Honorable Osoro, so we know that lately a lot of things have been taken to court. Currently is the Finance Act, which you're expecting some direction this morning. Never mind that EPRA is yet to comply with the order not to implement the Finance Act on matters prices of fuel. Of course, active in court. But also there's another matter that has been taken to court about, quote-unquote, strangers in cabinet. Your Secretary General, that is Cleophas Malala, and 3 advisors of the President. And I just want to find out from you, when precedences have been set in court by different judgments, how does the executive process such in making decisions that are close to similar to the ones that have been challenged successfully in court?
And just to add on that, I've also taken the Nation Media Group to court for misleading and giving slander. That is not a national matter. Anyway, we are on record as a coalition and as a government that we want our institutions to be independent. And that is why we have deliberately empowered the judiciary with higher funding from the previous, I think it was about 12 billion or so.
No, it was 18 or 19
to
actually.
18 or 19, thereabout, to about 20-something. So that clearly shows that we really want to empower our courts, judiciary, and all the independent institutions so they can work, of course, independently, and including the police. And that is why sometimes when you see even police officers, act ultra-virus or, beyond what their powers are, we allow or we let, the law take its course, really, without blaming the regime or antagonizing the regime or the president. Be that as it may, what is in court today in the morning, we want to commit that whatever the outcome will be, we will obey the law. And that has been the case. In regard to what you've raised about EPRA, EPRA reviews their pricing quite often, with or without the Finance Act, with or without the Finance Bill. You've been seeing over time that EPRA, there are other parameters that EPRA uses and the energy sector and all those stakeholders use to increase or lower the pricing of the cost of fuel. And really, it's not really the issue about, Finance Act or such, because the Finance Act did not provide that energy should not be raised or such. Because the justification, we need to look at the justification behind the increase of the pricing. can't just be
Osoro,
about
30th of June, the court issued orders that the Finance Act should not be implemented.
That is true.
Until the matter is pursued.
That is true.
On the same date, EPRA came out and announced the figures that implement the VAT on fuel, which were effective the following day.
But the finance...
10 days now.
You know, the Finance Act talked about the increase on the VAT on fuel, right?
Yeah.
But it did not talk about the local standard of the EPRA as an organization to review their pricing at whatever time.
Honorable Osoro, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is very simple, that EPRA reviews their prices
on 14th of April.
over and over. It's just coincidental that at that point,
they review on 14th
such
of
happened.
every month.
But that is what I'm saying. It was just coincidental that at that point, they decided at that
30th
date.
of June is not 14th of June.
You see, it's not envisaged in law that it's 14th of every month. It's their operations per se.
Come on.
And within that time, they decided to do that.
Honorable Osoro, please, let's be honest.
You know, I am simply coming up with my own assertions as far as this is concerned. You are forcing me to hold brief for EPRA. I'm only imagining what they ought to have done.
You see, you're the majority whip.
Yes.
So you would know. And I am telling you.
And I am answering you.
Just hold on.
Yes.
Every 14th of every month,
yes,
EPRA announces fuel prices.
But this time?
Based on calculations of what has happened.
Yes, but this time?
And in fact, on 14th of June, they did so.
And this time?
16 days later, they announced new prices to take into effect the Finance Act which had been passed. Their statement says as much.
We need to discuss such when we have facts on their reasoning behind the increase at that point. It can't just be regarded as it can't really just be regarded.
That's correct.
Yeah. It can't just be regarded that they defied the court order. Really, we can't do that. But in as much as all the other court matters are concerned, we are okay. You know, like you've seen, the court gave a judgment over the CISs and such. They are not in office. We are obeying. I mean, really, initially, Azimio had propelled a certain narrative to the public that we've pocketed the courts. But I do not know. I haven't seen them now commend them about the CISs. When they ruled in our favor in the election petition, they were condemned. When they ruled in favor of course, against the CISs,
right,
they haven't commended them. So
okay, that's fine. Honorable Mbui, your take on this?
Now, you know, when you kept telling Honorable Osoro, be honest. And you use the word honesty. I'm finding it difficult to connect the word honesty and Osoro in the same sentence. They are not mixing. Because throughout, he's looking for a way out. And you know, Osoro here talked about that we are living in an imaginary world. And I want to understand some of these policies of Kenya Kwanza. Is it deceit or imaginary? Because you've talked about so many things. You would lower the price of gas. You give us free Wi-Fi, free telephone calls, cheap phones. There's so many things.
But you are doing that.
You'll uplift the Mamamboga, the border operators, and now they're all crying out there. So I don't know whether we are the ones who are living in a dream world, or it is you when you're giving those promises. But let me say this, Sam, because there's an issue that shouldn't be left out. The reason, one of the main reasons why our people are protesting is actually also the passage of this Finance Act. And there's something that people haven't noticed. But you see, in the run-up to the passage of this bill, the president himself went and said that that the people that are protesting are the people that work for government, that are paid by taxpayers, and they're protesting a very small increase of 3%. And he even implied that they remain with 97%. Not to forget that people pay income tax, pay as you earn, they pay NSSF, they pay NHIF. But then what has happened after that, Sam, I think it was a conspiracy, because immediately after the passage of this bill, it becomes an act of parliament, and then suddenly SRC announces increases of salaries of members of parliament, of the executive, and of civil servants. And the civil servants are only being given enough to cover the increase in taxation, and just up to about 7-8%. And then members of parliament, because of the good work they did in, to represent the executive, they get 14%. And then the president goes out there and says, no, stay this. But let me tell you, SRC cannot reach a point of declaring an increase without having discussed this with the head of state. But what is going to happen is this. The people who are going to be hit by this finance bill are not even the civil servants, because the civil servants will get a small increase to cushion that increase. But the huge pay bill of the country in the private sector, that is what was the target all along. In fact, the people that work for the media stations, the people that work in private hospitals, private institutions of learning, all these companies outside there are the ones that were the target from the beginning up to now. So I think we've been played, that this was a conspiracy, and it has come to pass. Members of parliament to be given money to cushion that increase and a little bit extra for a good job well done.
Which money?
SRC has proposed an increase in salaries of all those people that work for government,
but
not for the people that do not work for government, and the economy is doing so badly. It's very unfortunate.
Okay. Sorry, what is that you want to say?
No, he just said that members of parliament have their salary increased. But it's on record that the president is against that. He's advised other. He's actually rejected. No, it is true. There is nothing like PR. We actually do not want a salary increase. And it will actually be the members of parliament. It will be immoral to increase the members of parliament salary now. It's fair and reasonable to do it to other civil servants. But for members of parliament,
what power does the president have over SRC?
You cannot direct SRC.
But you see, it is within. No, wait a minute. When the SRC gave out their advice, they let it, out as for public participation, and the president is a member of this nation. So in his own opinion as a public participant, he decided to give otherwise. And that will form the direction by some of us. Because that is what the president wants. You
know what is interesting, Honorable Osoro, is that you're saying that the president has expressed disinterest in the salaries increment for state officers, yourselves, and in the executive, which is not within his power. But what is within his power, he's not doing it.
Like which one?
IPRA. Strangers in cabinet.
No. Again, like the strangers in cabinet that you asked about the search.
Which members of cabinet?
You see, it is the definition of the media.
No.
You haven't. Yeah. You can't. No. It is the definition of the media.
Justice Anthony Murima ruling on General Body. That is within his power, isn't it?
Yes.
Can I answer that?
Please.
Let me answer that. What happened, what you're calling strangers in cabinet, is actually something that is normal. If today I have to appear in cabinet to be able to give some information, what normally happens is I have to take the oath of secrecy. Taking the oath of secrecy is not taking the oath to become a cabinet secretary. So those people are members. I mean, when you appear, even a foreigner who has to appear before cabinet has to take the oath of secrecy. In the past, in my work as a public servant, I've appeared before the National Security Council as a deputy CEO of the Electoral Commission, and I took the oath of secrecy. That did not make me a member.
The time that you were there.
The time when I was there. It did not make me a member of the National Security Council. Recently, when I was a member of the Assumption into Office Committee, on behalf as a representative of the president-elect at that time, I took an oath of secrecy. It did not make me a member of cabinet at that time.
I hear you, Deputy Speaker.
No, I just want you must get it very clear.
Yes.
So the fact that somebody takes an oath of secrecy does not make them a member of cabinet. And if you remember, the case that was dealing with the body had to do with the transfer of certain services to the
functions.
To the functions, yes, to the
Nairobi Metropolitan.
The Metropolitan. So you guys are confusing. So as we said,
we are not confusing.
Honorable Osoro has put it rightly. Those are some of the things that are being decided by the media. And then let me also explain. Please. Then one last one.
We're out of time. I just want to...
You're out of time, but I've just gotten a chance to speak.
For the sake of the viewer, for the facts to be set straight, Anthony Murima, Justice of the High Court, said that for Badi to take the oath of secrecy, that makes him member of cabinet. That is not a definition.
No, he was... No, if you read
you need to read the entire...
No, you need to read the entire judgment. You're reading only one line.
No.
Read the entire judgment, and you also need to read Executive Order number 3. It was Executive Order number 3, where he was actually to sit and decide business of cabinet.
Okay. That was, and it's upon invitation. You know, it's not really given.
No, I hear all of you. It's 8:04. Let's quickly take a look at the feedback that has come to us at Citizen TV Kenya. At Sam Gichuku, the hashtag to use is Debrek. Sir Nixon Ndugiri is saying, I really feel deep within me that I'm not well represented in Parliament, that the legislators are no longer mindful of my interests, but of their own. They are just using their numbers to measure their mightiness regardless. Rami Butia, Jomo Kenyatta used the concept of Harambee rallying call to unite the nation and build a stronger country. The word has remained Kenya's official motto, appearing on its coat of arms. Kenyans must reject divisive political narratives. Kipto Ruto, the opposition should oppose the government by providing substantial alternatives through the parliament. They should follow what Honorable Mbui did, otherwise they will be seen as the enemies of progress. I urge them to use the right channels. Okello Mwalimu, every time Gladys Bose speaks, she forgets that she is Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Remind her that on matters of national interest, she must remain as impartial as possible. However, on issues relating to Uasin Gishu, she's allowed to be partial. Gagging you on the show. Dombori, the collection of signatures is a solidarity exercise to express the illegitimacy of the Kenya Kwanza government and the dissatisfaction of the people. Then who else is here? Kipto Ruto, the opposition should do their business in accordance to the Constitution. When they say they are collecting 10 million signatures, let them quote where the Constitution allows that. Who will verify those signatures and what will happen after that? And Isaac Muthusi is saying that a local Mwananchi hustler can easily conclude that Kenya Kwanza government is illegitimate. Since they took over power, things have terribly worsened. Every citizen is bitter. And there's a prominent Kenyan here who is sending a message. I won't say who, but says that the trick of sending your opponents out of the country when there's crucial business in a House of Parliament is widespread the world over in many democracies. Remember, those who don't travel far think that it's only their mothers who make good meals. Thank you, prominent Kenyan. Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Robert Mbui, Honorable Silvana Sosoro, and Fred Okwango for making time for us to have this conversation. It continues, but as they said, there is a proposal by the Salaries and Remuneration to review salaries, not just of the state officers, but also public officers by 16% by next year, state officers by 15%. But it is 15% of what? The details